Welcome to another Straight Up Tuesday tip. I'm 𝗤𝘃𝗃𝗀𝘁, licensed agent with Second City Real Estate. With me, as always, is Mark Ainley, founder and owner of 𝗣cie𝗱𝗰𝗀𝗀𝗀. Mark, we're recording this on a Saturday. I'm bringing the energy. How about you?
Oh man, 200 and some episodes in, and this is our first Saturday recording. So we gotta do something cool here today.
And it's not because we forgot we need to do a Tuesday tip.
Not at all, not at all.
So we appreciate our editing team getting this thing out. With us for, I don't know, I believe this is the fourth or fifth time, the president of the Nboa, a proud grandfather, a father of an Olympian. I can go on and on. A friend of the podcast, one of our biggest advocates. We love having him here. 𝗤𝘃𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, welcome back to the show.
Well, I'm just so honored to be your first Saturday guest. Well, this has to go on my resume.
Yeah,
it's on the resume. We're there.
Yep. Next time we introduce you, we could add in there one of our only Saturday guests, or maybe we are only
weekend warrior, 𝗤𝘃𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mike, it's been a while since we've had you on. We had you on with a guest to talk about the potential rent control. It's been a while since we've spoken just about the Nboa. So what we'd love to do for our listeners, especially as we've picked up new listeners here, give a brief, the 30-second overview. What is the Nboa? And then more importantly, a state of the union. Where are we at with all these new affiliates? What's on the docket? What should members be excited about in 2023?
Well, that's a lot of ground.
You got 10 minutes. Knock it out.
Okay. The Nboa was created last millennium. Oh, no, I'm not going to get into the date, but we've been around a while. And we became a reality when a lot of organically sprouted neighborhood organizations realized that together we needed a voice to advocate on behalf of multifamily in the Chicago's neighborhoods. And because each of the affiliates, such as the Lincoln Park Group, the Rogers Park Group, the Southside Groups, Austin, they are very strong and very relevant when it comes to education and networking. And individually, there might be some advocacy, but there seemed to be a need for a more effective voice advocating, whether it's RLTO issues or whether it's the eviction process, or just a range of issues handled over the years. When I got involved a few years back before COVID, we did tackle rent control, and we did get involved in this ordinance this county-wide ordinance that this young commissioner named Brandon Johnson introduced, called the Just Housing Amendment, that restricts our ability to monitor criminal background. And then, of course, COVID hit. And at that point, we became even more involved in issues involving the eviction moratorium and defeating rent strike movements and the like. The organization has just surged. I'm very excited at the progress we've achieved, our growth. And we've come to realize that our members, really, our strength is from our affiliates. And now we have 9 affiliates, 8 are geographically based. And I'm just thrilled at one that we have that's ethnically based, if we'll call it ethnically. It's the Hispanic group, or the Latino real estate investors. And what the growth and the number of our affiliates allows us to do is advocate, build relationships with elected officials at the city level, at the county level, at the state level, and even more recently, I'm kind of sad to say, we're even active on the federal level. And again, that's in partnership with our amazing industry partners with the Chicagoland Apartment Association and the realtors, who have tremendous lobbying teams. And we also are involved with the home builders and the statewide group called 𝗤𝘃𝗃𝗵𝗁𝗏. But we ourselves, since COVID, brought on paid professionals. We have a tremendous lobbyist that we have, Joe Moore. We have a PR group, Sphere Communications, because we're working on the imaging. We don't use the word landlord anymore. I don't think you guys do either. We use the term housing provider. And it's part of an overall messaging campaign. But most important to all that is our ability to show that the bulk of the affordable housing and throughout the city comes from owners who are living in those communities. That there's people of color and people of different ethnicities that own the 2 flats or the 6 flats or the 12 units or the courtyards. And these are the folks that are deeply impacted by bad policy. And when we can bring these folks into the room, and if we compare an African-American property owner with an African-American alderman or a Latino owner with a Cook County commissioner who's Latino, this has all happened at the state level. These representatives want to hear from owners who live in their districts or who have connections in their district. And we emphasize the point that we care about our tenants. We know our tenants. We buy from our community. We hire from the community. We are very important for our community, and we are part of the economic future and sustainability of communities throughout Chicago.
Love it. Love it. We actually started the podcast with a landlord tip of the week, and it's now the housing provider tip of the week. We started that right after your episode. So it was part of NBOA's movement. We jumped right on with it because we agree with it. We love how that goes. So you have, I know on the website, you got some numbers. Talk to us about, the size. Like I know you guys represent X amount of owners and X amount of neighborhoods and X amount of buildings. Like, talk to us about some of those numbers, because I don't think, you're railing off some 8 or 9 groups. That doesn't show really the significance of how vast of a community you guys cover.
It's important to throw numbers out there. They're impressive, but we don't have a firm handle. We've tried surveying our members, and it gets very complicated to come up with precise figures of how many units but we represent or how many buildings we represent. But we're clearly, the number of units that we have got to exceed several 100,000 if we tally it all up. The number of buildings has got to reach upwards in the thousands, and so any numbers that we see anywhere are really best guesses. But to me, the most exciting form of growth that we're experiencing and seeing is that beyond the 9 groups that we now have that cover much of Chicago, but certainly not the whole city of Chicago, I'm very confident that at a tiny little event we're going to be throwing later this summer, which we'll talk about in a minute, we're going to be introducing a couple new groups. And we're going to be covering much of Cook County. There's a West Suburban group that we're very excited that's had meetings. Earlier this week, I met with a very dedicated and committed group of folks in the southwest side of Chicago and the counties. We're talking Midway Airport area, Beverly, areas around there. They're definitely happening. There's going to be a women's group that's in the process of being formed. The Northwest Suburban, Arlington Heights, Schaumburg, there's an active group of people there. Evanston, because there's some scary stuff being proposed in Evanston lately, we're seeing some momentum that they're going to recreate an Evanston group. And we've even talked to folks who are really getting hammered. Anybody who's ever had to do an eviction in the Markham courthouse knows that in the southern Cook County area, not only the eviction process is there, but the property tax situation is astounding. And there's talk of us, and that's a huge geographic turf, that we're seeing interest in all those groups because they know that beyond the networking, beyond the education, that they understand the importance of advocacy and they want to be part of our initiative. And then within the city of Chicago, if any of your folks here are interested in any of our affiliates, I know that your show notes will provide them with links, but we've got gaps. We'd love to see some organization in the Wicker Park, Bucktown area, for instance. We'd like to see more formal organization, perhaps around Pilsen. There are gaps and opportunities for new groups to form. The idea being that we want to be able to reach the elected officials. We have many new aldermen with whom we have to be in touch with, those that we feel might be favorable to our cause, but we also have to educate and share with some of the more progressive aldermen the reality that many well-intended ordinances that might be proposed have severe unintended consequences. And we have to go out there, along with our industry partners, connect with them and educate them, even zoning processes. We could talk to any new alderman who's figuring out how do they want to work out their zoning. Are they going to have a special committee? Are they going to simply have public meetings and have people who attend the meetings vote thumbs up, thumbs down, without a lot of institutional knowledge about the industry? But a lot of the new aldermen might welcome guidance from us about best practices when it comes to their zoning processes within their wards. So a lot of work to be done. The more groups we have and the more active people and the folks that are not afraid and are willing and eager to be in the front line advocating, the better.
Awesome. So one of the things we're going to work on, me and Tom are planning this year, is to get more of the various group leaders or representatives on the show. We actually have 𝗤𝗵𝗶𝗵𝗁𝗁𝗍𝗔𝗏 from Southwest Housing Providers coming on here in a couple of weeks. We're going to record. So excited to hear everything that they're working on, called that Midway kind of corridor, 55 corridor. So very excited about that.
Jackie is amazing.
Yeah. So, it sounds like anyone that in the south suburbs, if there's groups out there that are kind of representative that potentially could join forces, it sounds like there's an opportunity there. So
There absolutely is. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
If you're sitting here with a 2-unit or 3-unit, like, get involved, right? You're saying, no, I can't run this group. Get involved with it. Selfishly, this is where all the big boys hang out, right? This is where you're going to meet the people that, if you want to be, own X amount of units, or you want to grow, or you want to meet these commercial brokers, these are the meetups. Like, it's a cop-out to just not go there. You just selfishly, the amount of networking you can do, the amount of education you can learn, even if you're, a little shy about doing any advocacy, go and get involved.
I mean, some people come up and say, why would I get involved? I only own 4 units. And I'm like, you are what we're all about. You should absolutely get involved, especially if you want to grow and learn from others. And we need your voice and when we advocate.
Well, I always challenge people, you only own 4 units, which probably means that a majority of your wealth is wrapped up in those 4 units, which is all the more reason why you should get involved to protect your
Yes.
what you've invested in over the years. That's your destiny.
Right. And the point is that our argument to certain elected officials is that, well, I want to explain, and Tom, you heard me go on this ramble, the stump speech, but I really mean this. Our summer soiree is one thing we've consistently done very well, and every year we're doing it better. This is an event up in Rogers Park through the generosity of Loyola University Chicago. And by the way, if you ever say Loyola University, always throw Chicago in there. That's part of their name and who they are. But it's up in Rogers Park. It's August 3rd. We're going to be, by the time this show is up, we'll have all the information out there on our website and out in emails. And this is why you're supporting the industry by attending. We need housing providers, whether you're that 2-flat owner or you own more units. By attending this event, not only are you going to have a spectacular time and meet a ton of people and some great entertainment and music and food and booze and all those things, and games, big bags tournament. But by being a housing provider in attendance, you are validating and helping out the many sponsors who are who are helping fill our coffers with much needed sponsorship revenue. And that revenue is being used to hire our staff to do our work. And, so for us to be able to tell sponsors that you can be assured that you're going to meet many, many housing providers at this event, it's going to add value to their desire to sponsor. And this is the fundraiser that raises the bulk of our revenue. So it's a win-win-win proposition. The sponsors can win by making good contacts. They'll be happy about their investment sponsoring this event. You as housing providers are going to be enriched with the connections that you make at the event. And our organization itself will be able to thrive and be a relevant and primary player in these challenging days ahead.
Love it. And we will be there as usual. Looking forward to it. And obviously, we'll link to all that in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll put the sign-up page on our homepage as well, too, here in the upcoming weeks. So, for sure.
Right. August 3rd. It's a Thursday night.
Let's do it.
Excited for parties.
We'll get beautiful weather again.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Chicago Fact. Mark, first off, who are we playing for?
We're playing, this is so funny. Debbie Downer, that's a name that ordered a t-shirt. Like I'm not even making this up. So Debbie Downer from, it looks like Lakeview, ordered a t-shirt, and that's her name I drew. And if me, I'm dead serious. That's his name. So, but me or Mike, if we get this Chicago Fact right, we get a $50 gift card brought to you by 𝗬𝗍𝐶. So,
well, unknown to you, I had to go to Mike to get this question, so he's not allowed to play because he knows the answer.
Okay, all right.
So, the question, Mark, and I think you can do some math to kind of figure it out.
Okay. What
year was the NBOA formed? And remember, it formed around an event.
Oh, that's why you were going to say dates earlier.
Yeah, that's almost gave it away. Then
man. I'm going to go with 2000.
Multiple choice?
Yeah, multiple. Oh, yeah, give me multiple choice. Let's do it.
2001.
I think we should hear what you were going to say. Maybe you were going to nail it.
I was going to say, I thought it was newer, 2018. That's what I was going to go for.
Give him some multiple choice.
2001, 2003, 2005, or 2007. Now, if you can remember, it's because of an event that the NBOA came together. And you can back into like how old you were at that event when that event happened.
And it wasn't your bar mitzvah.
All right, so you either got 9/11, you have
local Chicago event.
Oh man, the 2001 Lincoln Park porches. That's where you're going?
That's where I'm going. It was 2003.
Oh,
you're correct. The porch collapsing.
Oh, well, listen.
Which it's 2023 makes this 20 years, baby.
Yeah,
we're gonna make a big deal out of this, Mike.
It is. We are. Thanks to you, Tom.
Wow, 20 years. Yeah, that's huge. You definitely got to. Oh, that's awesome. Well, Debbie Downer, I didn't get it right, but like I almost feel like it'd be horrible if I didn't send you the gift. So
you got
we're something over here.
Yeah, like I'm not giving you for any more reason to be negative. So Debbie, I'm sending you the $50 gift card brought to you by 𝗬𝗍𝐶, and Mike here is supporting me, and hopefully Debbie, you come out to the soiree on August 3rd and have a blast with all of us. So you have to show yourself at some point. You put Debbie Downer for the t-shirt for your name. So I do have your email. So all right, thank you guys very much. Mike, thanks for coming out again. Tom, thank you as always. Listeners, check out Build Your Team on our podcast website, straightupchicagoinvestor.com. Where you got a whole bunch of different resources. And then we're also going to link to all of the various NBOA groups here as well, too. So you can start getting familiar with those. Mike, thanks again. Tom, thanks always. Listeners, we'll see you Thursday.
Thanks all.
Appreciate it.